Hi everyone, we are hosting a free live webinar reporting groundbreaking EB-5 news regarding the new EB-5 filing data released by USCIS and what it means for green card processing times and the potential invisible backlogs for certain country categories and big changes to the EB-5 visa risk analysis. I'm Colin Behring, the CEO at Behring Regional Center. Join us Thursday, March 7th at 2 o'clock p.m. PST for this live event, and a replay of the event will be made available to all registrants via email. So go ahead and please sign up. There are so many questions. Do China and India have backlogs or not? What countries are getting closer to backlogs? What is the effect of USCIS math on carryovers, unused visas, wastage, denials? How long does it take to actually get a green card? If you ask 3 different people, you're going to get 7 different opinions. In EB-5, it seems like every answer to every question is always, it depends. But in this event, you'll finally get the details and find out why people say that. The new data is very different from the last release, and we are going to have to turn to Behring's team of experts, including award-winning developers, immigration attorneys, and even a former USCIS adjudicator to set the record straight on what it all means. Greg Sheehan, our in-house EB-5 policy expert and former USCIS adjudicator, he will lift the curtain on the internal adjudication processes and why some of the EB-5 processing numbers look the way they do, and what it could all mean for future timelines. If you're a potential EB-5 investor who is an employee already in the United States on an H-1B visa or a student who's here on an F-1 visa, you definitely don't want to miss this event. On the agenda, we're going to analyze the EB-5 data, discuss what it means, what it does not mean, and who are the winners and losers from all of it. When it comes to EB-5 processing times, some variables are in your control and some are not. Knowing the difference between which is which will separate what is policy from a greasy sales pitch. Lastly, I will break down what I would do in various scenarios if I was a new EB-5 investor today looking to file an I-526E petition and get started. That's right. As a CEO of a major real estate investment platform that has experience across over $1.2 billion in EB-5 developments, a 100% USCIS approval history, and a 100% repayment history on every single project we've touched, I will give you my strategy for today's filing. I know who the EB-5 good players are. I know the EB-5 industry's darkest secrets, and I will give you a step-by-step guide on how I would make the decision if I was in your shoes. These are not random opinions, but strategies backed by real estate experience, expertise, immigration data, and pure math. The EB-5 industry is at a very interesting crossroads. Each EB-5 investor from each country looking at a filing in I-526E today will have a different calculation. They're going to have different risks, different opportunities, and a different way to go about each one. Still not sure if you want to attend? This event is a pretty big deal. We're going to analyze that newly released USCIS data and what it means for various EB-5 stakeholders. Luckily, Matt Galati was able to squeeze out the data from USCIS using a Freedom of Information Act or a FOIA request, and his litigation experience, which he provided on behalf of AIIA. Additionally, there's some information that came from Suzanne Lazecki, who was kind enough to do a brief summary of the data on her blog at Lucid Text. The EB-5 market's reaction to the data has been all over the board, where some people have been keen enough to take factual takeaways, and others are just trying to spin it into wild and even nefarious sales pitches. Some of the stuff that I've heard is that if I was an investor who didn't know any better, I would actually consider it almost criminal. One spoiler that I can't help but give away is that USCIS data is showing that rural priority processing never actually worked. The U.S. Department of State reported that they issued 0 post-RIA green cards to people overseas, and only a fraction of the investors since August 2022 have even been approved. The data also shows that rural EB-5 filings have surged way beyond the country caps for China and India. No one can say that a new filing today for a rural project out of investors born from India or China will receive a speedy green card. If USCIS upholds a first in and first out methodology, it is mathematically impossible to say otherwise. Today's rural filers are standing in line behind over 1,000 other filers. There is no other way to spin it. The promise of rural's priority processing for today's filers who are entering from the back of the line is dead. For China and India, if all filers looking to jump in and file an I-526E today have no hope of priority processing actually leading to a fast green card, should they evaluate projects any differently? Does the rural category disappear altogether now that that priority is gone? If rural projects have raised a little bit of money, but there's no hope of raising any more without priority processing, what's the replacement? Are they going to finish these projects? Is there other rescue money that's going to magically come save the day? Does a bridge loan cost 15, 18, or 20% per year? This all could potentially put projects in peril if they don't have a contingency in place. All of this will logically shrink the pool of interested rural investors even further, turning rural project sponsors into cannibals as they fight over an ever-shrinking pool of money willing to take the risk of investing in a rural location. We saw this in 2015 when projects heavily reliant on Chinese agents and Chinese investors as rescue capital saw the river run dry almost overnight after a 10-year backlog was announced. History is about to repeat itself, but possibly for different countries. So some of the lower quality projects backed by mediocre sponsors and regional centers with histories of throwing their affiliated investors to the wolves are likely going to be the brunt of this change. However, some firms are prepared. There are still bright spots in the EB-5 investing industry today. There are high-quality projects backed by strong sponsors where the offerings have assets already performing, other assets under construction, and all located in highly desirable institutional quality markets. Another bright spot is that USCIS's concurrent filing policy achieves EAD green cards and the ability to live and work anywhere in the United States in 3 to 4 months. USCIS acceptance of partial payment strategies can stretch out the cash needs over extended periods of time. EB-5 investor loans can effectively lower the amount of cash you need to get started. USCIS recently updated the sustainment period, which means that you are now able to see projects that are offering potential exits in as little as 3 years. You can learn all about it on this webinar. Register now, join us at the live event, or get the replay sent to your email. We'll see you there.